Welcome to Duality Check, the podcast where two brothers embark on a journey through the realms of scientific inquiry, the mysteries of the past, and the uncharted frontiers of spirituality. Join us as we explore the wonders of our world and beyond, all while embracing the roles of curious bystanders rather than experts. Together, we'll unravel the tapestry of existence, blending the dichotomies of knowledge and wonder. Get ready to question, ponder, and delve into the dualities that shape our understanding of reality on Duality Check. I'm Drew.
And I'm Dean, and welcome to episode number 70. And hello.
Our first video podcast.
Yeah.
So we're here.
So this is kind of a last minute episode as far as like preparation of the topics, because we kind of spent the week getting this video thing going.
So yeah, we're using OBS now. We're upgrading a bit on how we're handling video and streamlining the whole thing. And
yep.
Yeah.
So this should save us a lot of time every week with editing, and it should get you guys an upgraded experience. And I got so many ideas for how we can keep making this more and more better.
Dean's excited. I'm excited because it's going to be a better opportunity to, showcase what we're doing, and and make it a lot easier for us to actually prepare for episodes. So next week we'll have a little bit more time. And
let's talk about it a little bit real quick, and we'll give you guys like what our ideas are. And
let us know what you think about it.
Yeah,
give us some feedback on our ideas.
If you have ideas, or let us know. So we're thinking, because we have the ability here to create scenes. Say hi, Drew.
Hello. I can't see it. Can you have it on this monitor? Or do you need that up right now?
No, we're not doing the browser yet. So anyway, we can make scenes to like show different things. And so we're thinking we want to make little intro segments, just like we did for the beginning of the show here, for like different parts of the podcast. Yep. And ultimately, we want to start having guests on the show, which we haven't done yet, except for like impromptu guests in person.
Yeah. Which now we have a working third mic, so we won't have as many issues with that anymore if we have some drop-ins.
Right.
Which will happen.
And down the road, hopefully we'll be able to just make this presentation better and better. We'll have maybe even a studio space like in a year or so. Yep.
So some exciting stuff coming up. But our ideas is just being able to like move this thing along and maybe get some suggestions and some inspiration from y'all.
Yeah, we want to
see what you all like.
We want to invite a lot of the interesting people that we are constantly taking in knowledge from, right? It would be cool to be able to talk to some of these people in person, and that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm looking forward to most. What the heck was that?
That was my son kicking the side of his crib.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so Drew brought some stuff for us.
Yeah.
Can you hit the chapter there?
Mm-hmm. We're working on this. We got a bunch of new gadgets going.
All right, so what's this? Pyramids amplifies and magnifies your energetic structure. This is Bashar?
Bashar, weekly Bashar.
All right. Let's check this out.
Are there any physical structures, geometric shapes that we can sleep in, meditate in, that will increase and aid in embedding more of our DNA?
Yes.
Boom.
What are they?
Well, you already know what the pyramidal shape can do. Yes?
Yes.
All right. But look at the idea more from the concept of proportion and ratio. Phi ratios, natural ratios, Fibonacci sequences, and so forth, as being the necessary proportions for the amplification and focusing and magnification of these energies.
Are there any
Okay, so geometric shapes and meditating, that would be an interesting experiment to do.
Yeah.
Somehow, like, build like a teepee, like a pyramidal teepee or something, and sit inside of it.
It's called
meditation.
camping.
Well, those are more cone shaped.
Yeah. I guess
it's still pyramidal. Anyway, but yeah, that was.
I think I like the ideas of people thinking about the pyramids being used in different ways like that. It's just all speculation at this point, so it's hard to get attached to any one theory.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the direction. But it's coming from Bashar, so maybe he just knows.
Well, and he was talking about that one specifically just because the person was probably familiar with it. But there's probably tons of like some sort of like three-dimensional shape that you could, like hexagons or octagons or, you know, that might have a different like effect when you're meditating. Like pyramids may not be the only geometric shape that you would have to be in to raise your energy or to change your energy. Speaking of energy, let's go to this next one.
So it looks like we have
some more cymatics.
Yeah, one of these cymatic fire tubes.
Yeah.
There's a guy with a trumpet on his knee. He's like kneeling in front of the fire tube. He's about to blow his trumpet into it. Interesting to see what this looks like. Cool. Yeah, all right, let's check it out. This is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, God.
What the heck? That part at the end?
Damn.
When he does that little slide, you can see the flame like skip over a couple tubes. Yeah.
And then like peaks.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm really feeling this because I was a former trumpet player. So it's like, oh,
dude, I want to know like how far they could take a setup like that. Could they like have like a grid of pipes next to each other, right? And you have someone play
something at each of them
with like super high level recording equipment, so you get a really faithful capture, and then you have speakers attached to each of those pipes that can do like a really good recreation and like vibrate the pipe correctly. And so you could have one person playing trumpet set off like a whole grid of them, and then you like set up the lighting so that the fire is the only thing lit in the image. Soft glow on the trumpet player in the background.
Somebody make this.
Yeah, right?
I love trumpet. Like,
someone needs to do that with their music video production funds and turn it into.
Please make it real.
Yeah,
that would be sick. I mean, I've seen a lot of cymatic stuff.
Yeah,
lately.
Very cool. All right, what's this?
So this is something I stumbled upon.
Hit the chapter.
And it was basically this like paradox, like time travel paradox, and like way to think about time travel, and like. So I just wanted to share this and just think about this and talk about it a bit.
This is on Facebook, posted by Aliens UFO.
Try to change the past. You're in the original event. So the paradox actually is the paradox of retrocausation. Let me use an example. When in 1972, I was sent by Dr. Sterling Colgate and my father from a time lab in East Hanover, New Jersey. The building's still there. It's the brick daycare center at a Presbyterian church on School Road in East Hanover, New Jersey. That was a time lab in the early 70s. I was sent there via a technology called plasma confinement to the day that Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, which was November 19th of 1863. And I was photographed by a photographer that I think was Matthew Brady. It's disputed. Some people believe it was a photographer assistant of Brady named Bacharach. But it looked like Matthew Brady because I saw him as he was taking the photograph of the citizens of Gettysburg gathering to see President Lincoln give a speech, which was the caption of that famous photograph that I'm in from Gettysburg of that day. But let me just explain how I was using this as an example of how the quantum paradox actually works.
Sure.
Now, if you ponder the fact that I was sent there, photographed in 1863, and then after its discovery in 1951, this photograph has been widely published in news magazines because until 2007 it was the sole surviving photograph of Lincoln at Gettysburg. That begs the question of, did I not exist in the photograph until 1972? Mm-hmm. Jump there, get photographed, and create another timeline that I returned to where suddenly my image was in all the news magazines that republished the Josephine Cobb image of Lincoln at Gettysburg? Or was I always in all of those photographs? And the latter is the case. Why? This is the paradox of retrocausation. From the perspective of 1863, I arrived as a time traveler from the future, was photographed, and hence my image was always in the photograph. So from the perspective of 1972, I had to go to 1863 to be in the photograph, but if I had flipped through, let's say, that September 1963 edition of the National Geographic that republished the Josephine Cobb image of Lincoln at Gettysburg, I would have seen myself in that image. That is to say that the past is immutable in the sense that when you go back in time to change it, the sine qua non of time travel is that you're in the past event, the original event. Mm-hmm. So I challenge the notion of Schrodinger's cat and the notion of a second timeline breaking off, because when you go back to that past event, you're in the original event. The notion of a second timeline branching off, I think, is a form of magical thinking. But I would distinguish that concept from the idea of being sent to a different timeline. For example, we found that the chronovisors were unreliable as an intelligence-gathering device, an intelligence-gathering time machine, because every time they sent us to, quote-unquote, the same past event, it was always a slightly different version of that same past event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so for example, when I would pop into view in front of Ford's Theater and try to talk myself past the ticket table in the front of the lobby, right inside the door, as a society child dressed in my Sunday best, and try to convince them that my parents had already been admitted with my ticket and were sitting inside, the person who would greet me at the ticket table was always a different person. It was like a man and his son. Then it was the man by himself on the second jump. On the third jump, let's say it was just his son. Then it was his son and his brother.
So is that you, in effect, creating a small paradox?
Well, I don't think we should think of the disparate timelines as paradoxical per se. I think we should think instead of the fact
yes, but you've got change. You've got change.
Well, according to one estimate, the multiverse contains as many timelines as would be expressed numerically by a number at 12-point type that would stretch for 130 million miles.
Mm-hmm. Who is this guy?
I don't know, but it's obviously Art Bell, Coast to Coast.
Yeah. What is that?
I do not know.
Oh, it's a new video playing in the background.
What is that?
I was trying to scrub through the timeline and see a couple parts of that. But there was a word he used, like quinanon. That's a cool word. I don't know what to think about people just claiming they're time traveling and they're in historical photos and stuff. Like, I would have to, like, this wasn't providing the proof of all of what he was saying.
No, not at all.
So, but
not at all.
As an intellectual exercise for, like, a version of, like, how time travel works, I think it was interesting.
Once he got past the whole I'm the time traveler bit.
He seemed like he was trying to have it both ways. Like he was saying like it's not alternate timelines, but it is.
It's not paradoxical.
Yeah.
If you were to change things.
Well, he's saying it's like a multiverse, but he's saying it's not like you don't branch a timeline by going in the past. It's like,
well, he's saying, like the multiverse is like stable in that fact. Like the other, like, so if it were to be the fact that it doesn't create a new timeline in that, so like what he's saying, if you're not born, so if say you're born in 1970 and not until 1980 do you go back in time to affect or get photographed in an event, that photograph then exists still all the way up until you're born. So if there was like a republishing of that paper like a year before you're said to have been born, you will still see the photo of the person who hasn't yet even been born.
Interesting. Yeah.
So in that case, it would provide proof if you were to take his account that he is a time traveler, of course, and that it's real, that it can happen, right?
Yeah.
If you're putting aside all of your preconceived...
He didn't explain the mechanism of time travel, though, either, did he? I didn't catch any of that.
No, I don't think he did, no.
Yeah. So... I'm interested to
There's
see
other people
what he
who
would
have
say.
called Art Bell about being time travelers and like leaving, trying to like leave hints and like I love these stories because they're just so fascinating.
Great. And that's why the Y-Files is so cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's been popping up more videos again lately. He went on a hiatus for a while where he's just doing like compilations.
Oh yeah, he does that a lot. I guess it's because the amount of time it takes him to like prepare new ones.
Yeah, and I think he was also maybe switching systems or something was going on because I think now he's got like these like mini episodes of his other episodes where he's like stripping it down and like doing more of a like an in-depth on certain episodes.
Right.
But it's basically the same episode, but he's using some editing software to like re-edit it basically.
There was a lot of stuff this week that I didn't like prepare for the show, but I want to call out in case any of you guys want to go
check it out.
Check these things out. There was a
Jesse Michaels episode with Ben. I want to say Ben something.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't have it pulled up yet. He never puts the names in the title.
Okay.
The second one. Well, he had an episode with Luke Caverns, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I just got through all of that.
I finished that too. That was really cool. That was more that I've heard from Luke Caverns than I've heard before. Because I haven't like followed all his solo work.
Well, he's done a lot of traveling now that he's like out of school. He's been like, and he's like becoming like a YouTube, pop person. I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
I like him because he's like a moderate and a realist as far as like history, but he's also open-minded.
Yeah, which is the key to it all.
He thinks that people like Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson have a point, and it's possible for them to be right and also archaeology to be right on a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, archaeology leaves room for the story of what is actually happening. Like, we haven't had a consensus on who's supposed to be telling the story of what you're finding. Like, if you're an objective, you're a subjective observer, you have your own set of like preconceived like understandings of like history, but you're an archaeologist. You're not the one studying the people necessarily. You're the one studying how to find all the artifacts and finding the artifacts. But yeah, I think it's just weird that the people who are like taking it upon themselves to write the history books are in some cases like just like hard-nosed scholars, not opening it up to like people who maybe have studied the people in their writings and what they were like and anyway, I don't know that everything can be proved, but
not everything can be proved, but I think history is just complex. And I think Luke Caverns has a nice conservative read while also still believing in the possibility of a lot of the things that these ancient civilization theorists talk about. So like, you don't have to believe that all of Egypt was super ancient, and you don't even have to believe that it was really the same Egypt either. It could be that there was certain things that survived a lot longer, and then the people we know and we found all this evidence for as the ancient Egyptians found that stuff and settled, and their culture surrounding around all that.
I mean, just the fact that like the pyramid was like perfectly polished, like limestone casing stones, and like was perfectly immaculate. And then by the time we found it, there was like nothing left of the casing. Maybe like one side, I think there was, but then that ended up going too. Not when we discovered it, but when we started really studying it in the modern era.
Yeah. And I think
so much time had gone by between its building and its use, and then with all the settlements and the dynasties that have.
I think the two buildings he points out are the Sphinx and the Osirion. I think it's the Osirion. That's the one that's underground. It's built down instead of up, and it's super megalithic. Yeah. And it's also one of those ones that the Brothers of the Serpent talk about with they have those blocks that wrap around the corner.
Is that the underground one that has like the
pools?
It's like a pool that's supposed to like fill to like this sarcophagus in the middle.
No, that's a different one on the
that's
Giza plateau that they were talking about.
But that's underground too.
But the Osirian does have water.
It's kind of like a tunnel system, like it, and they describe it as being more like
it's more like these
industrial
pools, but like it's not drained out, and I'm not even sure how far down it goes, and I haven't seen maps of the complete, and I don't know if anyone's actually drained it to look yet.
Yeah.
Or dived it.
I'm sure they've tried at some point.
I want to know what's down there and how far down it goes and how expansive it is down there.
Yeah. Even just grabbing like a little sump pump, throwing it down there, and like just trying to see how much it drains as you're pumping it. That'd be interesting.
And then there was this other one with who was this guy?
That's the guy I was trying to.
Yeah.
You gotta read his description there. James Madden.
James Madden.
So he's a philosopher, and this one was super interesting. This guy's got a good way of like talking about like Plato and Socrates and stuff.
Yeah, he reminds me.
And like he talks about like the idea that the entirety of the human existence is the metaphor of the cave or the allegory of the cave.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about that. There's been a lot of podcasts, Diana Pasolka. It's just really a popular thing to be referenced in like
UFO
these topics.
Lore too.
Yeah.
And even like spirituality and religion.
And I've never actually read it firsthand. Have you?
I started to, but I didn't finish it. No.
Maybe it's old enough. It's not it's copyright. Like we can do a series on that and just read it together.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We'll get that going in the next week or so. Maybe next week we'll do it.
Yeah, we could start it for sure. So this was a good one. Yeah, they talk a lot. He reminds me of Diana Pasolka. Yeah. But like a philosopher version of her. Yeah. Who's maybe at least not as well connected yet, but now that he's on Jesse Michaels, I'd be interested.
Probably gonna get hooked up with some interesting people.
Whereas like Diana Pasolka is all about the religious side of things. He's all about the philosophical side of things. And
how about having the two of them with Jesse Michaels? Because Jesse Michaels is more like a modern.
I know. I want some like conferences with a lot of these people together and having like big open discussions on stages and stuff. And then you get that's basically what the Cosmic Summit is, and that's coming up in a couple months.
Oh, is it actually?
It is.
When is it?
The new one. Here, let me pull it up. Cosmic Summit 25. It's in North Carolina.
Damn. They need to come to the West Coast.
I know.
At least meet us halfway.
I don't know if it's in the cards this year. I'm going to do the virtual ticket again.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
But
it'd be cool to be
next
able to,
year, I want to
stream
be
that
there for sure. Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know if we're allowed to, but it'd be cool to be able to.
Yeah.
And then we can just stream it and talk along with it, and like watch full classes together. Like watch through a couple hours of somebody's talk.
Dude, there's some crazy speakers here. Let me go to the speaker list. Guess it's just down here. Randall Carlson,
cool.
Ben Van Kerkwick, Robert Shaw.
Cool, they got Dan Richards this
Dan
year.
Richards, Praveen Mohan. I haven't gone into him as much.
I've watched a couple videos on him, but it'd be interesting to see what he's
I really
talking about
liked the one we covered on the show.
Hugh Newman.
Danny Hillman, Scott Wolter.
Is that Dan? Wait.
Micah Hanks. Zamora. He's one of the guys on the new
Zamora.
pyramid scan, I think, isn't he? I don't know.
No.
But
Zamora was on I believe he was on one of the research teams that did work in one of the
yeah, he's on Comet Research Group.
Yeah. Yusuf, that's their tour guide from
Yusuf
Turkey.
Iwan. Yeah, that's who the brothers talk about, and Ben talks about a bunch of.
He's their tour guide, basically. Like he takes them around, knows all the stuff, and like gives.
He
them,
knows
like,
all the official history and all the unofficial history,
and he's open to the unofficial stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. LeCompte, Abbott, Forbes, dang. So be really cool to go to Beneath the Pyramids.
Oh, they're going to talk about this, huh? Oh, wait.
Philip Biondi is going to be there.
No way. We understand the value.
Yeah, let's look at
watching.
This. Coffre Project, first U.S. presentation of a groundbreaking discovery. Startling new data from Beneath the Pyramids revealed live only at Cosmic Summit 2025. The world was stunned in March of 2025. Headlines across the globe reported that a team of Italian researchers had detected massive underground structures beneath Egypt's iconic pyramids Giza, utilizing a combination of synthetic aperture radar, acoustic data from the Earth's surface, and AI-enhanced geospatial analysis. The team, known as the Coffre Project, has uncovered what some are calling a lost subterranean city hidden for millennia. And now, for the first time, the researchers behind the discovery are coming to the United States.
So they are going to be there.
Exclusive appearance at Cosmic Summit 2025. Dr. Filippo Biondi, associate editor of IEEE Transactions on Geoscience and Remote Sensing, an expert in geospatial sensing, and Armando May, a distinguished Egyptologist and historical investigator, will appear live on the main stage Saturday, June 21st at 1:30 p.m. in Queensboro, North Carolina. They will reveal startling new information never before seen by the public, insights and images from their ongoing analysis beneath the Giza Plateau.
Hell yeah. That's cool.
What the heck is this? Is that a real thing? Are these proportions between the Earth and the Moon?
Holy shit, that would be crazy.
That's crazy. Giza's buried secrets.
Underground Giza Revolution. Is that what that said? Is that a new video?
Here's a press release too. Well, it looks like we have another episode ahead of us here.
Cool.
Yeah, because they have put out stuff since, and I haven't seen a lot of that.
I haven't actually been following much since the last.
Yeah, like I saw the initial blow up, and then I saw the wave of overhype, and then I saw the wave of like setting realistic expectations and all the skeptics. And like I had yet to actually see the presentation from the scientists themselves from their own mouth, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Are the brothers of the Serpent? No, it looks like they're not going to be speakers this year, huh?
Yeah, maybe not. What to expect? There's classroom days. Dang, I want to go. There's Russ right there, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we're ready for our first break here. So we'll be back in a few, and we will hop into... Oh, we still haven't even said yet, but yeah, we'll be back.
All right.
Enjoy this first break.
Hole in my heart, shoulders apart. Hole in my heart, fill it up, shoulders apart. Hole in my heart, shoulders apart. Hole in my heart, fill it up, shoulders apart. Killing love. Of killing of killing love, killing of kill of killing love. Doomsay. Doomsay, doomsay, doomsay,
Welcome back.
All right.
That was Stevie Nader. The song's called Doomsayers. It's from his album 333. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
That's a good one.
Dude, that song is so sick. You may have seen me flicking around the cameras during the break there. Drew couldn't. But
yeah, no, I didn't see that.
I was trying to create like different scenes live as we're working here. But yeah, don't mind me. This is our first week, and I'm trying to make our OBS setup better. So you might see some stuff like that.
Yeah, we're trying to refine it as we go here. First week doing video, so
yeah. All right, we got an email from Greg.
Yeah. Greg.
And Greg, we got to thank you for this. Thank you because
perfect timing.
We did not have time this week to prepare for a topic because we were worried about all this like new setup. And so your email gave us a nice thing to read, which we're going to turn into this episode. So
appreciate that. We're going to read your email here.
He says, "Hi guys, just listening to your program number 69. Thanks for reading my message. I feel honored. As you asked about some links regarding Pope's prophecies and all that, our lovely Radio Paranormalium just issued about it in English. So here it is. And I'll bring this up just so you guys can see it real quick.
The Last Pope, the Fall of the Vatican, and the Apocalypse. Prophecies about the future of the Catholic Church after Pope Francis."
Interesting. Okay.
The death
we'll
of
have to
Pope
watch
Francis has once again sparked
So we'll link to this for you guys. Can you press the link key there?
Mm-hmm.
We'll link to this for you guys so you can watch the video. But in the meantime, we are going to...
We're going to read this other...
He sent another email and it said...
it's a transcript of the Vatican Prophecies, basically.
Thanks to Ivelios from Radio Paranormalium. There's also a text version of the Vatican Prophecies if you prefer to read. So we're going to read that.
Yeah, and if you want to go, just go watch the video.
Yeah. How long was that video, by the way?
40, 50 minutes, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
45 minutes?
We can't turn our show into their show, but let's read this.
Yeah.
So it says, "The Last Pope, the Fall of the Vatican, and the Apocalypse, prophecies about the future of the Catholic Church after Pope Francis. The death of Pope Francis has once again sparked discussions about the future of the Catholic Church. Among both the faithful and the media, a variety of prophecies, visions, and theories have emerged, attempting to predict the fate of the Church following the end of his pontificate. This article explores the broad spectrum of forecasts and revelations on the subject, ranging from the traditional Catholic apparitions and the prophecies of recognized saints to modern visions by mystics, including controversial and unofficial ones, as well as theological analyses and esoteric or conspiracy theories. We will present both conservative, mainstream perspectives and more alternative interpretations."
I'll read this part if you want.
Go ahead.
"What did Our Lady Fatima say? Throughout the Church's history, there has been a rich tradition of prophecies interpreted by the faithful as pertaining to the future of the Church. One of the most renowned is the third secret of Fatima, revealed only in the year 2000, which contains a symbolic vision of the Church's persecution. In the vision, the shepherd children saw a bishop dressed in white, whom they understood to be the Pope, walking through a ruined city filled with corpses, praying for the dead. At the top of the hill, this Pope is killed by soldiers, along with many clergy and lay people. The Vatican officially interpreted this vision as a prophecy of the Church's sufferings during the 20th century, particularly the martyrdom of popes, such as the assassination attempt of John Paul II, and the faithful during the times of war and totalitarian regimes. Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, later Pope Benedict the 17th?
16th.
16th? Oh, yeah, 16th. Later, Pope Benedict XVI emphasized that the vision represents the Church's way of the cross during the age of martyrs, and that prayer could mitigate the events foretold. However, some believe that the full content of the prophecy was not disclosed. Allegedly, a fourth or hidden part of the message warned of a crisis of faith and a massive apostasy from within the Church. Cardinal Mario Chiappi is often cited as having said, "In the third secret, among other things, it is foretold that the great apostasy in the Church in the church will begin at the top. Although the Vatican officially denies this, traditionalist interpretations suggest that Fatima warned of an internal crisis, possibly a schism or doctrinal errors at the highest levels of the church, should humanity fail to convert.
And I think, what's an apostate? Is that like a heretic? Person who renounces a religious or political belief.
Yeah, so like, what's his name?
I would be an apostate. I guess I never like publicly renounced the church. Well, yeah, I guess I have.
Kind of. I never was really a part of the church, except for like
I mean,
young. Like
I was baptized, and I was a little altar boy, and like I went to Sunday school, and
I wasn't. I hadn't done any of that.
Interesting. In her messages, Our Lady Fatima called for prayer, penance, and the consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart, promising a renewal of faith and a period of peace if these requests were heeded. Fatima remains a church approved apparition, and its official interpretation does not predict the church's fall, but rather calls for conversion to avert divine punishments, wars, persecutions. Pope Francis himself strongly identified with Fatima's message. In 2022, he reconsecrated Russia and Ukraine to Mary in the spirit of Fatima. The apparition of La Salette. Another prophecy often associated with the future of the Catholic Church after the death of Pope Francis is the apparition of La Salette, 1846, a Marian revelation in the French Alps known for its apocalyptic tone. In this apparition, the Virgin Mary shared secrets about the future of the faith with two shepherd children. In the widely cited, though controversial version recorded by the visionary Melanie Calvat, Mary allegedly said Rome will lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. The prophecy also speaks of the church being plunged into darkness and of great chastisements, disasters before a time of peace. This extraordinarily strong warning is often interpreted as a prediction of spiritual collapse within the Vatican itself, possibly through secularization or doctrinal deviation at the church's very heart. However, it is important to note that the church takes a cautious stance towards these words. While the apparition itself was approved in 1851, regarding the facts of Mary's appearance, the full expanded version of Melanie's prophecies published in 1879 has no official church endorsement. There is evidence suggesting later additions by Melanie herself, including prophecies that did not come true for the 19th century. The church emphasizes that the famous phrase about Rome and the Antichrist may not have been part of the original secret transmitted to the Pope. Nonetheless, within traditionalist and conspiratorial circles, La Salette remains a cornerstone of fears regarding a future great betrayal of the faith at Rome. Mainstream Catholic commentators refute extreme interpretations, pointing out that while scriptures 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3 foretells a great apostasy before the end times and the rise of the Antichrist, this does not simply imply that the Pope himself will become the Antichrist. According to tradition, the Antichrist is expected to be a secular ruler and usurper who will persecute the church, not a pope. Thus, if La Salette prophecy is authentic, it could be understood to mean that Rome itself will fall under godless control, while the true pope and the faithful might have to operate underground, much like the early Christian church. Okay, so we have this prophecy of the future saying that Rome will essentially become faithless. They'll lose their faith.
They'll fall and be faithless.
And they'll be apostates and that that will be essentially the Antichrist. That's one reading of it.
Yeah.
But another reading is that
the fall from within,
right,
the top down, basically.
But the Catholic Church thinks it means that they get forced underground.
Right. It's more of like we are being persecuted, so we need to hide and become like a secret society again.
So if you want to get conspiratorial, like you could say, well, that happened a long time ago, and like how long has it been since? I mean, I don't really know. I don't follow the Catholic faith at all anymore. So like I don't know how much do the people at the top, like how much are they bureaucrats and how much are they actually people of faith?
Spiritual leaders,
yeah. I mean, they're spiritual leaders, like legalistically, but like, are they people of faith themselves? Like, do they believe this stuff?
Right. Or are they just there to maintain the status quo and like make sure the bureaucracy of it all is maintained?
And especially with all the like controversial
right. Yeah. I mean, that
stuff that's gone on with the Catholic Church.
I see what your point is there about whether they actually believe. Because if that's true that they don't believe, or that there's been some corruption within the actual like spiritual leadership within the church, like if that comes out, and especially because we're getting closer and closer to this digital age where secrets are going to be so hard to keep, that it could come out that they have been completely faithless this entire time and that they've been running this thing and as like a faithless kind of...
Yeah, well, because the organization of Catholicism is such a fucking huge enterprise, right?
Yeah.
And like being the person to control a gigantic worldwide body like that attracts a certain type of person who's hungry for power, right?
Yep.
And honestly, you could go way back into the like church persecuting people in the past for like evidence of faithlessness. Like, I think like it depends how strict you want to interpret the doctrine, right? Like, or the beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, do you agree? Like, is it possible that like the times when they were going around with the Inquisition and just killing people who were you know, dissenters from the church, you know?
Yeah. Faithless in their view.
Right. Like thinking that you have the authority anointed by God because of however legalistic way you interpret the writings in a book.
Yeah.
Right. And thinking that you can do this as the head of this global faith, right? You can go around and like cause all this violence and erase all these people's histories and their traditions. Like, maybe you actually believe in God, so like you can claim, no, you're not faithless, but like, do you really, if you actually think you can go around killing people and that God's okay with it?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
The idea of like using force to like get people to join faith.
So I think there's ways to interpret this that go way further back in history.
Sure.
But I don't know when these. Well, it said some of these
like
sightings,
18
right?
Something, like late 1800s.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Importantly, the Virgin Mary at La Salette also foretold a renewal. The church will be eclipsed, but not overcome, and it will shine anew after a period of trials. This is interpreted as the church's future victory after a profound purification.
Yeah, so it sounds like a different way to say the same thing. Like their interpretation is there's going to be a lot of hardships and they're going to be muted in societies basically worldwide where something may come and take over.
Yeah.
The majority of faith within the world or many countries or whatever, right? There might be some like maybe technological AI, maybe there's some new religion comes out of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like maybe there's like a time where they have to like go underground and like clear all of that bad juju that was within their organization, and then like in their view they're going to come back stronger.
Yeah. I wonder how much this is like someone essentially remote viewing the church, right? And how much of it is about Christianity and faith as a whole, and how much of it is about like the body of the Roman Catholics, right? You know, like
That's a good point.
It's less interesting to me if the message is about the official structure of the church and more about like people who believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. That's a good point. All right, let's keep going.
You want this part?
Sure. The apparition of Akita, 1973. A more recent Marian apparition approved by the local bishop took place in Akita, Japan in 1973. The message was given by Our Lady to Sister Agnes Sasagawa, bear striking similarities to the warnings of Fatima. Mary warned that if humanity did not repent, a terrible chastisement would befall the world. Fire will fall from the sky, destroying much of humanity, and the survivors will envy the dead.
Ooh.
Regarding the future of the church, an especially notable part of the Akita message states, the work of the devil will infiltrate even into the church in such a way that one will see cardinals opposing cardinals, bishops against bishops.
Ooh, like an internal civil war of the Catholic Church.
Our Lady of Akita predicted that priests loyal to her would suffer persecution from their own brethren, that altars and churches would be desecrated, and that the church would be filled with those who accept compromises. This dramatic prophecy clearly foretells internal division within the church's hierarchy, an open polarization around the fidelity to Mary and truth. Many believers already see this. Already see these words reflected today in doctrinal conflicts among cardinals, divergent currents, traditional versus progressive, and the notable number of priests abandoning the priesthood in recent decades.
You know, that's really interesting because
you scroll down.
I listened to the Tom Woods show, and this is a topic that comes up on his show from time to time. He's a Catholic, and he follows like all this like Catholic internal business stuff. And I don't follow anything about it, and I don't have an opinion, but I can just tell you what he says, right? So like he talks about how he's a person who likes the traditional Latin mass, and he talks about these like progressive versus traditionalists in the Catholic Church.
Sure.
So I can see like where it's talking about that sort of division it already exists.
It's happening. It has been happening since the modern
It's happening
age.
all over the world, but it's happening in the Catholic Church too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Some interpret this prophecy as a warning of a potential schism if demonic infiltration advances. Yet, like the Fatima message, Akita ultimately calls the faithful to prayer, repentance, and especially the daily recitation of the Rosary, with an emphasis on praying for the Pope and bishops. The Church officially understands Akita as a call to conversion, not as a declaration of the Church's imminent destruction, but rather a warning about an internal crisis and divine punishment for humanity's sins, both of which can be averted through faith. Interesting one.
Yeah. The prophecy of Saint Malachy. I really want there to be an R there. I want it to be a malarkey. One of the most famous prophecies regarding the papacy is attributed to Saint Malachy. I want to say malarkey now. Saint Malachy, a 12th century Irish bishop. His prophecy of the popes allegedly lists 112 Latin mottos describing successive popes from the 12th century to the end of times. The final pope listed after Benedict XVI, who was referred to as Gloria Oliviae,
or the glory of the olive.
That's more fun to say, honestly, is the mysterious Petrus Romanus, Peter the Roman. Huh.
Same malarkey, huh?
So this guy from the 1100s, Mr. Malarkey, he lists 112
Latin mottos describing successive popes.
Okay, so he's describing them. He's not like naming them by name.
He might be.
He might be because they're how are you able to say so monikers. Precisely the final pope listed after Benedict XVI? Which is interesting. So he's putting names down. Was referred to as Gloria Olivae. Gloria of the Olive.
Yeah.
This prophecy states, during the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there shall sit Peter the Roman, who shall feed the sheep amid many tribulations, after which the city of 7 hills shall be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will be the people. The end.
It says the dreadful judge will judge the people.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I want it to be the people.
Yeah.
Freudian slip. And the dreadful judge will judge the people. Huh. Many interpreters believe that the list concludes with the successor to Benedict XVI. When Pope Francis was elected in 2013, some immediately tried to link him to this prophecy, pointing out, for example, that Francis of Assisi's birth name was Giovanni Pietro Bernardone, or that Francis, being the first Jesuit pope, is a Roman by his Italian roots. These
so he would be the Peter the Roman in their guess then?
Yeah, Petrus Romanus. Yeah, Peter the Roman. Oh, interesting. These connections, however, are somewhat tenuous. Proponents of the Malarkey prophecy often suggest that the true Peter the Roman might be the Pope following Francis, particularly if he comes from Rome or assumes the name Peter too, although no Pope has ever dared take the name of the first apostle. It's worth noting that historians are highly skeptical. Well, and why would someone do that? Like knowingly now, knowing that prophecy exists.
But if you were able to find out,
can you imagine someone taking the papacy and being like, "Yo, I'm the last pope. I'm Peter II."
I honestly could, but
yeah, that's crazy. It's worth noting that historians are highly skeptical of the prophecy's authenticity. It was most likely fabricated in the 16th century to influence the conclave of 1590. The accuracy of the mottos dropped significantly after that era, suggesting earlier predictions were made retrospectively. The Catholic Church has never recognized St. Malarkey's prophecy as genuine. That's why it's called Malarkey.
That we're just going with it.
Regarding it more as historical curiosity. Nonetheless, it has profoundly shaped the apocalyptic theories about the last pope. Pope Francis, aware of these speculations, once jokingly remarked that he didn't choose the name Peter II to avoid fueling apocalyptic fears. So he was Peter II, he just wouldn't name himself that. Which means we're in the end times. All right, let's take our next break, and then we'll go into the vision of St. John Bosco. And again, thank you, Greg, for this
legendary, bro.
A whole episode that we didn't have to prepare for. And this is super interesting. I haven't thought about this like prophecies of the Catholic Church or really the Catholic Church in a long time. So it's interesting.
Yeah, to remember some of these things. Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's take a break.
All right, so this week we have. Wait, why is that playing? This is M.Born, and the song is called Dancing in the Rain. Enjoy.
See, we all have our own struggles, but at the end of the day, we're all the same. struggle at the end of the day, we're all the same. He walks alone in the rain, thoughts drenching the pain, begging for change, and every other day's the same as before. He walks alone in the rain, lost, broken in pain, and he strolls through the day with his head to the floor. He lives under the rain, under a bridge in the floor, couple boxes and crates, but he praises the Lord. He lost his leg in the war, so he walks with a cane, drugs in his veins, lost and deranged, alone in the rain. Struggling for change, alone in the rain, we're all the same. Struggling for change, alone in the rain, we're all the same. But at the end of the day, we all struggle at the end of the day, we're all the same. Yeah. He walks alone in the rain, ignoring the pain, works every day, struggling, hoping for change, pay mortgage and rent, double timing again, but he's gotta support, cases in court, collections knocking the door, but somehow he maintains, through the stress and the pain, puts food in the place for his family of force. He crawled through the floors, he ran through the rain, jumped over the wall for a chance to make change, an everyday hero, and he never complains, he just walks through the rain and fights for his name. We all struggle in our own different ways, and at the end of the day, we're all just the same. It ain't fair, we share the same struggles in the fight. I know firsthand exactly what it's like to be stuck in the sand and nobody understands. To give a hand out to you, I dedicate you the truth. We're all the same. Some are cold, some are old, some are broken. Struggling for change, alone in the rain, we're all the same. I'm afraid of the pain that you've been through. Yeah, struggling for change, alone in the rain, we're all the same. But at the end of the day, we all struggle at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all the same.
That was Mr. M.Born featuring our great friend Charlotte Glennie.
At the end of the day,
we're all the same. It's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Oh, welcome back. All right.
So, what are we drinking this week, Drew?
Boochcraft.
Yeah.
Boochcraft. I always say and. Boochcraft.
It's, here it is here. Oh, I'm bad at this. Spiced pear.
Yeah, these are really good, and they're light, and they're not as.
Here's the website.
Oh yeah, very colorful.
This
guava mint lemonade.
I think we had that.
No,
I think so.
I don't think so.
The one we're drinking now isn't on
that.
here. I actually haven't had a drink.
I would remember that. Yeah, which one did you have? Spice pear.
This is. Yeah, what do you have? Yeah, this is spice pear.
That's what I have too.
This is 7% alcohol by volume. What's inside? Raw kombucha, pears, cardamom, allspice, American oak essence, and yeast. That's it, for real.
Interesting. Yeah, I really taste that oak essence. Oh, that's good.
Whoa.
It's good. It's very like fall season drink.
I like it. All right.
Right.
Hit us with the chapter, Drew.
Yes, sir.
And let's go back to this document about the Pope Prophecies. So it says here, the vision. Oh, do you have a chapter, a thing ready for us?
No, I don't have anything ready. I was just gonna look real quick.
The vision of St. John Bosco. St. John Bosco, a 19th century Italian priest and canonized saint, is known for a series of prophetic dreams and visions concerning the church and the world. The most famous is his vision of the two columns, 1862, often interpreted as foretelling the future tribulations of the church. In the vision, Bosco saw a great naval battle, a fleet of enemy ships attacking one massive vessel, the church steered by the Pope. The attackers attempted to destroy the flagship with cannons, books, and ideologies. Two enormous columns rose from the sea nearby, one crowned by a statue of Mary titled Help of Christians, the other by a large Eucharistic host with the inscription, Salvation of the Faithful. Interesting. that sounds like some UFO shit, if I'm going to be honest. The Pope struggled to anchor the church's ship between the two columns. Enemy vessels repeatedly assaulted it. I know it's supposed to be more metaphorical, though.
I was going to say,
At one point, the Pope was severely wounded and fell, but he rose again. Is that the second coming? Only to be attacked once more and killed. The enemies rejoiced, but their triumph was short-lived. Almost immediately, the cardinals elected a new pope, so quickly that the announcement of the previous pope's death coincided with the election of his successor. I don't think that's happened yet. The Pope successfully steered the church's ship between the two columns and anchored it to them, stabilizing it. The enemy fleets fell into confusion, clashed with one another, and sank. The great calm returned to the sea. Bosco explained to his listeners, "Heavy trials await us. What we have suffered so far is almost nothing compared to what is to come. Only the double anchor devotion to Mary and frequent communion can save us in the hour of great storm." This vision is interpreted as foretelling a major crisis in the church, perhaps persecution or wars, during which the Pope would die a martyr's death, yet it also promises an eventual triumph, the renewal and stabilization of the church, anchored in the Eucharist and Marian devotion. St. John Bosco's dreams were recorded and are respected, though the church does not require belief in their literal fulfillment. The two columns vision is fully consistent with church teaching, emphasizing the Eucharist and Mary as pillars of survival during the church's darkest storms.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, they're basically saying what all the others were saying, just with more metaphors.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's a vision of a naval battle.
Yeah, but it was all metaphorical, really.
Right. Fleet of enemy ships attacking a massive vessel,
which was the church steered by the Pope.
One column is help of the Christians, and the other is the Eucharistic.
And they used the canons of books and ideologies. Like their canons were books and ideologies.
Yeah, interesting. I don't have much to say on that one.
Yeah.
You want this part?
Yeah. The visions of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, 1774 to 1824. Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, a German mystic and stigmatist, beatified in 2004, left behind numerous recorded visions written down by Clemens Brentano. Among them are particularly intriguing prophecies concerning the future of the church, which many believe resonate with our present times. On May 13, 1820, Emmerich described a vision where he saw two churches and two popes existing simultaneously, she stated. "I saw a connection between two popes. I saw how detrimental the consequences of this false, dark church would be. I saw it growing. Heretics of every kind came to Rome. The local clergy grew lukewarm, and great darkness spread." In another vision, she spoke of enormous confusion. "It seemed to me that demands were being made of the clergy that could not be granted. I saw many elderly priests weeping bitterly. Some young ones wept too, but others, especially the lukewarm, readily
did what was demanded.
Yeah, readily did what was demanded. People divided into two camps." She also said, "I saw the Holy Father in great distress. He lives in a different palace than before and admits only a few close friends. I fear the Pope will have much to suffer before he dies. I see that the dark church is making great progress, exerting a terrible influence over the people. The Holy Father of the true church and the true church are so oppressed that one must implore good day and night."
God, day and night.
Oh, God, day and night. Implore God, day and night. Yeah, that makes more sense. Also, good day and night.
Yeah. Well,
good day, good night.
A God day and night is a good day and night.
Yeah. For many, these words seem prophetic. In light of recent history, the unprecedented situation of two popes, Benedict the 16th as Pope Emeritus and Emeritus as Pope Emeritus and Francis as reigning Pope. The depiction of a pope residing elsewhere and limiting contacts fits Benedict's quiet life after his resignation. The image of the false dark church is often interpreted by traditionalists as referring to modernist trends within the post-Vatican II church, which they see as diluting doctrine. Emmerich also mentioned heretics in Rome, a lukewarm clergy, a division into camps, images often compared to today's theology and
theological and liturgical disputes.
Yeah, that's a theological and liturgical disputes. Okay.
Yeah, so the theology would be like the beliefs, right? And the liturgy, I think, is like the doctrine.
Some attributed to Emmerich the prophecy that two papacies is how they say it. Two papacies must arise, a true one and a false one, along with descriptions of a strange church of human making being built into Rome, interpreted by some as foretelling a schism or apostasy by part of the built in Rome.
By part of the hierarchy.
Oh, yeah. By part of the hierarchy created a new church more aligned with worldly values.
All right, so this is essentially predicting two popes, right? This is predicting the church splitting and each of them electing their own popes.
Right.
Which seems like it would be a pretty obvious thing unless the other one happened like in secret.
Which was possible. Like, if you're thinking about like the mainstream side of the thing, and the non-mainstream side of the thing, one could be more popular and demanding of like screen time, and one could be done in secret, where the true following is like more into that camp.
Mm-hmm.
But like the face of Catholicism would be more like media driven and like able to like sway the masses in that way.
Right.
But there may be more of like a traditionalist foundation that follows one side or the other.
It just seems like it would be easy to be stamped out. Like it would have to go pretty far underground, or it would have to be a big dramatic thing with like a big public split, you know?
Well, what if this like idea of like it going underground is less of like in the world as like the foundation or like the heart of Catholicism, like what brought it to where it is, like whatever like people are drawn to of it is stamped out, but in its place is something that's like less of what it was. So the true heart of it is what's being driven underground.
Yeah.
And the true following may have to follow that, but the forward facing would be this like dark false.
And they would elect their own pope underground.
Yeah, so they would be like this, like the true pope or whatever, I guess you would say.
Interesting.
Or at least the like traditionalist.
You know, it's funny. So I started a book recently. It was Aldous Huxley's The Perennial.
I've heard of this one. I haven't seen it or read it, whatever.
Oh, let me show that on screen. The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley. I just started this recently. This is a really interesting book. Here, hit a chapter for me. This book, I'll probably do an episode about it or a couple, but we could actually maybe use it once we're kind of get through all this Marcus Aurelius and we're ready for like a new reading, because throughout it is like a bunch of quotes from a bunch of different spiritual traditions from all over the world. And what he's trying to do is like draw together like these areas of agreement on like what the traditional perennial, you know what perennial means, right? Like it's like all year round.
Yeah.
It's used with like farming and plants and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like a perennial is something that's constantly like it doesn't have a season. It's not seasonal,
yeah, it's
right?
not seasonal.
So the perennial philosophy is basically talking about like what is the truth of the world, right? Like what is the nature of God? Like what is the nature of the afterlife?
What's the underlying, yeah.
And
nature
within
it,
so he talks about all these traditions, but a big part of that is the Christian traditions. And which I find super interesting. And there's a guy, what is his name? I talked about it on a GPT conversation. Eckhart. Meister Eckhart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think he's from like the 11th century or 12th century. Meister Eckhart. 13th century and 14th century.
Mystic and theologian.
Yeah, so he had all of these like visions, and he had his own like beliefs that he would push, and like he actually ran into trouble with the church too. But anyway,
because he was heretical in his like teachings.
The type of stuff he talks about is a lot more psychedelic, and he has this idea of like a godhead versus God. Like he has this idea that like what you call God is sort of tied to this earthly realm and is God of this realm, but is not like the ultimate God.
It's a lowercase g.
The ultimate God is like it can't lower itself to interact in the way that like the God of this realm can, right? Like
right.
The Godhead is more like it's everything. It's the source of all, right? Like if there's a multiverse, it's the thing that created all of the versions of the multiverse, right? Whereas like God is more like to our universe and more like interactive with us and humans, and well, not necessarily humans even, but more this universe, right?
Yeah, it's the caretaker of this branch.
So he has this idea of this like Godhead, this like thing greater even than like what Christians call God.
Right.
I find it super fascinating. Anyway, I don't know why that inspired that, but I've been reading that lately, and
we've talked about that.
Christian mystics are very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And you don't hear much about like the mystical traditions. You mostly hear like the church doctrine, at least when like growing up as a Catholic, like I did, right? So yeah, it's interesting.
I think just all religions are interesting for like the sake of like what they are and what they do and what they teach, and like how many of them are like actually from the same origins and draw from the same stories and the same books and the same, you know, like it's pretty interesting to especially because I've said before is like our family kind of like moved away from the church at when I was young, but all of my siblings, older siblings, had gone through
up a lot
some sort of
more in it. Yeah,
like school.
I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 6th grade.
Yeah, those are formative years.
They are,
very formative. So yeah, I have like a different like take on like I'm coming from the outside in, so it's fun to learn about all these different religions piece by piece and like see all the similarities and like dissimilarities and
yeah. I think I have. Do I not have this book? I think I just downloaded it, the Perennial Philosophy. I think I have the audio of it. But yeah, I'm going to add it to my library so we can do some reading from it, because I think it would be pretty cool to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I've been building a crazy book library. I found the
on Audible or just a book library in general.
So I found the equivalent of torrenting for books.
Really?
So here's some illegal advice. So there's a website called Anna's Archive that you have to subscribe to it to get access. But once you have access, you can just download any book from anytime, anywhere. Like you type the name of the book, you'll get it in multiple formats, PDF and ebook reader formats and stuff.
Nice.
And then I found this like iTunes for books, which is called Calibre. It's an open source software, and it can sync your books to all your reading devices. So I just download stuff on Anna's Archive, add it to Calibre, and use that as my book library. And so anytime I want to read anything, I can just get almost anything for free, except for like brand new stuff.
Yeah.
Which is fine because I want to support like living and active authors. But
but being able to like go back and like read all of like history's writers.
I want to have like a permanent digital library of stuff. Yeah, and so like I have all these crazy books.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So like I just have
anything that comes to your mind, you can just search and like be like, yeah, let me get this book on that.
Right.
And,
so I just have this vast library now, and like I'll never be able to catch up to it. But it's cool to have it.
You can just pick from a shelf without having
once
to
in a
pick
while,
from a
you
shelf.
want to like peruse your books, right, and see what you got, and like pick something interesting, and like these are all things I thought were interesting at some point or another. Yeah,
that's cool.
So check it out if you're into pirating. Or not.
You gotta pay a subscription though.
Right. There is that. But they're actually like their goal, if you read like their purpose and mission and stuff, their goal is to like be the internet archive of books. Like they want to like preserve all of books for human history and stuff, right? And so they basically get copies of everything they can and make it available to people.
Nice.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that's a worthwhile cause for sure.
I agree. All right, let's keep going here.
All right.
Give us a chapter.
So, where were we? We finished that part. The new church more aligned with the worldly values. Okay. However, did we read that part? No. Mm-hmm. However, it must be noted that not all of Brentano's recordings are considered perfectly reliable. His editorial practices sometimes introduced interpretive elements, and Emmerich's beatification process deliberately avoided relying on her visions due to questions about their transmission. Nevertheless, her prophecies enjoy great popularity in conservative circles. Many see them as a grave warning that a time may come when, alongside the true church, a deceptive church of shadows will arise, spreading confusion. From a Catholic theological perspective, this could refer to the influence of anti-church movements, secret societies, or pseudo-Catholic factions attempting to seize control in the Vatican. More radical interpretations claim that Emmerich foresaw the current crisis and that the false church corresponds to a drift towards modernism under a liberal pope. Such extreme conclusions, however, conflict with the Catholic's doctrine of the church's indefectibility. The belief that the church...
Sorry.
What?
I misread indefectibility as like something defecation.
So stupid. Indefectibility, the belief that the church, though the subject of the crisis and persecution, will never be overcome. Despite the controversy, Emmerich's prophecies inspire many of the fervent prayer for the unity of the church and the strength of the papacy, which was her own fervent desire.
Interesting. Okay, let's should we take a break?
Quick break.
Yeah, all right. So we're on break 3 here.
All right. We'll be back in just a minute.
say to me in quotations and give that notion personality. Given the way things are going, it would be a given if it didn't stop unraveling. Well, I have pity thoughts for believing. Well, hell, I pity thoughts of my own. It wouldn't be a given if it were given to me, but those are faults of my own. Well, I always wanted to speak so smoothly, like I was born with a tongue of glass. But I gave away the language given to me. Now it's just a story of my past. I heard of only men to admit to their fails, but sadly enough, I'm nothing but a boy with a soul for sale. I never think to stick my toes into cold water, 'cause I imagine those depths to swallow me whole. And I always listen to the lessons from my father, but I fail to make his morals my own. 'Cause I never thought to be scared of anything but everything. Well, now it scares the shit out of me. 'Cause I always wanted to be the one who was strong-headed, but I realize my strongholds are weak. Well, I would be a man to admit to my fails. Well, sadly enough, I'm nothing but a boy with a soul for sale.
Y'all enjoyed some TJ McNulty?
That song is called Soul for Sale.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it is. How's YG?
He's good. He just needed some...
hook me up with the tarot cards too. I never did that. So while you read that, I'll shuffle.
Right, here you go.
Thank you. So this is Marcus Aurelius. Did you,
Yeah, so I'm just going to read this and see where it goes. When you rise from sleep with reluctance, remember that it is according to your constitution and according to human nature to perform social acts. But sleeping is common also to irrational animals. But that which is according to each individual...
Common also to irrational animals.
Yeah, it's common also to irrational animals. But that which is according to each individual's nature is also more peculiarly its own.
Why can't I say it either?
And more suitable to its nature, and indeed also more agreeable. So I'll read that again, just because it's not so long.
Peculiarly.
You are, when you rise from sleep with reluctance, remember that it is according to your constitution and according to human nature to perform social acts. But sleeping is common also to irrational animals. But that which is according to each individual's nature is also more peculiarly its own, and more suitable to its nature, and indeed also more agreeable.
Interesting. So that which is peculiar to its own nature is more agreeable. Is that what it's saying? So it's saying that all of our social activities, because they're peculiar to us as humans, they have something more to do with our nature as humans.
It seems like, yeah, what they're saying is like, yeah, the more peculiar. We're gonna nail this by the end of this
peculiar
episode.
Is easy, but peculiarly is weird.
Yeah, peculiar.
Peculiarly.
So peculiar. Oh my god. Peculiar. The dream or the like. Or
because dreams are
thoughts.
not peculiar to us as humans. All animals have dreams, right? As far as, well, we don't know that all, but like we know dogs, for instance, like they definitely have dreams. I was just
for sure.
Earlier today, I was sitting watching a Barcelona game, and Izzy, my roommate's dog, was sitting on the couch right next to me. She's cuddled up, and I like had my pillow like on top of her, and she was my armrest.
Yeah,
and then she started like,
like
she's starting, like
active dreaming.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear that that's what's happening, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not like her fucking nerves are just firing off randomly, right?
That's less likely.
It's more common to all of the species to have dreams,
at least mammals,
which says something about dreaming and the nature of any species who dreams. But then there's something peculiarly to humans, which is our social structures and our social behaviors that are peculiar to us, right? And something about that is what makes us human and interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What was he actually saying about the things that are peculiar to us, though?
I think just the idea of sleep in general, but
he
was saying that which is according to each individual's nature is also more peculiar on its own and more suitable to its nature.
Right. Okay.
So he was saying,
social behavior is more suitable to our nature because it's peculiar to us.
Yeah,
is what he's saying.
But also that sleeping is can be considered maybe a social act.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
Especially, dude, with that weird freaking... You remember the tech thing we showed a while back?
Yes,
that was like a shared dreaming technology?
Well, what if there's a way to do that without some technology, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a way to like tap into your own like subconscious so that
like
you can feel the fields of people around you.
Yeah.
So like you live in a house with your family and like you can tap in. Everybody in your house is more likely to have dreams about each other. Or having those people in those dreams, whether you're conscious to it or not. Maybe there is some like connection there.
My mission to have more dreams has been working lately. I've been having crazy dreams. I have not been good about journaling them though. Yeah. But like they're a lot more vivid. Like there was many years where I just basically didn't have dreams. But I've been taking these couple supplements and my dreams have gone through the roof.
That's cool.
Dig it. And I don't smoke much anymore either.
Yeah.
I think that's helped. All right, so...
It definitely surprises that.
Right?
For sure.
My intention in this long shuffling has been, what as it usually is, what is a card that we can learn about this week that will be beneficial to us and to all of you guys.
And in our new pursuits with these new setup.
Yeah. So let's see what we get this week. We got the Queen of Swords. Here, why don't you describe that while I pull up the website to share?
Yeah, so for anybody who's not watching the video, the Queen of Swords is what you would imagine in a queen sitting on a throne, but the throne looks like it's made of some sort of like concrete or some sort of like stone. And it's got like a head with wings behind it, just underneath the right armrest, with like some cloud-looking feature below the head, kind of like showing that it's like ascended in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then butterfly at the bottom of this pedestal. This like looks like an altar for like the side of the chair that they're sitting on.
Down by her toes, or
like the butterfly on the pedestal of the seat, the chair.
Oh, it's hard to see in this image that I'm looking at. Can I see that?
Yeah. And she's surrounded by clouds and like a little tree and like landscape to the right.
Where's to
the left? I
see the butterfly you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's talking about down here.
Yeah, right down at the bottom there. And then it looks like her cloak is clouds and like a sky. She's holding a sword and has like a red tassel off of each of her arms and like a red necklace and a crown with a single bird flying above her head.
Yeah. In the distance.
And then a symbol down at the bottom right corner.
That seems to be on all the cards in this deck. Maybe that's the signature of the artist.
It seems like the serpent and staff again.
Yeah.
We've seen a bunch.
I think that's the signature of the artist, because it seems to be it's on every one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on every one in a little bit different spot. I think it's the signature.
Maybe.
Or the symbol of the artist.
So the Queen of Swords, what do we got?
So, Queen of Swords, upright meaning, representing the energy of a queen. This feminine power was traditionally known as a widow, crone, or divorcee. In modern times, she can be viewed as a model of self-sufficiency, independence, and intelligence. She often has extremely high standards due to her subtle sensitivities, which can be perceived by those around her as being critical or hard to please. Her true motive is to refine the world, to upgrade people's understanding so that everyone can have the space they need to become fully themselves. She is not interested in conforming. She is too intelligent to be confined to the role of a housewife or a nursemaid. Although she is perfectly competent in those areas, she chooses her associations or her solitude and is seldom caught up in dependent relationships, at least not for long. Her intelligence is not always most comfortable to be around, but she can be counted on to see through superficiality and point to the truth of a situation. That's a cool.
I'm thinking more of like internal for me, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like an individual's like what part of their brain should they be like pegging or like letting lead them?
Yeah.
And like it kind of reminds me of like the whole prophecy of like the mother goddess coming back, like the who was it that Chris Bledsoe said was the basically the mother goddess,
the lady,
the
white lady, or the lady,
yeah. It's like this whole like feminine energy coming back and like being able to like this whole.
I like the purpose for it, right? Like it's not just the feminine energy; it's a specific feminine energy that it like has a goal. Refine the world and upgrade people's understanding, which is kind of the goal of our podcast here, right? Like this is kind of a cool one to draw.
Yeah.
Like we are looking to upgrade our own understanding and our understanding and our setup this week. Yeah. That's real.
Yeah.
But the motive so that everyone can have the space they need to become fully themselves, which is cool. I like that line.
Yep.
Let's check out the reverse meaning. We drew it right upright, but this is what it means if it's reversed. When the Queen of Swords is reversed, it indicates a propensity for denying your deepest feelings. Somewhere, you decided that speaking up for the emotional truth is selfish and unattractive. As a result, you are prejudiced against your own needs. It is not a flaw to have a heart. It is a flaw to ignore it. Show some compassion for yourself, and in so doing, help your loved ones love you better. Don't isolate yourself. Have compassion for yourself. Serving your own feelings and needs is appropriate and necessary. I like that. I think that's beautiful.
That would be good advice either way.
Now, if you're doing the spread and you draw this in the advice position, the Queen of Swords is the position that advises you to refrain from remaining dependent on others at this time. Instead of placing too much confidence in the promises people have made, harbor only those ambitions you know can accomplish yourself. The Queen of Swords does not want to wait to see what others would think, say, or do. She knows what she wants and how to get it. She doesn't ask permission or even subject herself to much influence. There are times in life when no one can take care of you as well as you can. Leave sentimentality behind and take action. Make important decisions for yourself. Because it's up to you. You are the final judge. Queen of Swords in a love position. In a love position, the Queen of Swords comes up. It is time to become more autonomous. The Queen has learned through challenging experience that she should be she should be her own best friend. She doesn't need to be rescued, helped, or patronized. As such, it's time to set boundaries as you move your emotional and psychic centers back to yourself. In the old tradition, the Queen of Swords was stigmatized as unwanted, a woman who has outlived her usefulness to a man. Nowadays, wise and independent people with maturity are better appreciated. Today, we celebrate her as a self-defined individual and understand her as a person who owns herself. She fosters no dependencies because she craves none. In this way, she is freer to move in the world, unencumbered by the untangling expectations of others. When the time arrives, it may be more beneficial to become less available to new partners' whims. Strike out on your own, win or lose on your own merits.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. In a career position, you are in the process of releasing yourself from a work-related relationship. The overall feeling is one of impersonal detachment. Certain ideas may have surfaced which emphasize differences between you and coworkers. Because the basis for relationships is in question, naturally there is a change in the quality of interaction. What used to be a river of ideas between you is now a trickle. If this is so, then there is little left to cling to or be sentimental about. It may be a good time for you to be on your own now. Think of it as you would a change of season. The situation or environment you are in is becoming dormant, and the temperature is dropping into frosty zones. You may need to thicken your skin, put on a few more layers of emotional padding. Why would you yourself be injured during this climactic shift? It's not really about you anyway. It may simply be about change.
That seems to be the theme of all of these, is like this like reliance on yourself and this like understanding that whatever situation you're in, good, bad, to like not rely on others and to like this is the perfect opportunity to like do what it is that you can get done yourself, and just relinquish some sort of like control that others may have in your fate.
Yeah.
And to like follow your path.
Right.
To help realign you in a sense, right?
No, I agree. It's like it's very much an independence card, right? Like it's a card telling you to trust yourself. It's a card telling you to strike out on your own. Not like it's in a striving for truth, right?
Yeah.
Like in a striving for truth, sometimes like you have to go it alone, and this is
that's a perfect way to summarize what we need to be doing, right? Is like as a podcast, we should be finding our own identity, striking out on our own, like doing it the way we want to do it, and not trying to like fall into a template,
right?
Yeah,
I want to build our own thing here.
Yeah.
And I think we're moving in that direction. We have
For
some
sure.
cool ideas. We keep talking about new ones.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to do a bunch of cool transitions.
Well, and we're going to have so much more time now, too.
Stuff.
Like, we can get together on Discord, me and you, and just like start spitballing.
Eventually, we want to do live streaming and like
Yeah.
live chat with people. So, like, we can set out like a time a week where people can tune in and like actually
we can
talk live.
And if we
even
have
call
some
in,
messages,
that'd be cool.
We could also save some messages that aren't like time pertinent to like release or whatever. Like save up some messages and do like some sort of like listener communication episode, and like while we're doing it live.
Yeah.
So we can get some chats or any kind of thing going.
Yeah. So let's check out the Queen of Swords and a yes or no card reading.
Let us know.
The Queen of Swords is a card of steadfastness and direct communication. So if you're looking for a simple yes or no guidance and receive the Queen of Swords, the answer is yes. Say exactly what you mean and trust your understanding of the situation. It seems like a yes card, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. And now if we got like the Jack of Thorns or something, I don't know if that's even a real card.
Thorns isn't a suit, but I like where you're going. Heck yeah, cool. All right, that was a good reading.
Yeah.
All right, did you give us a chapter? Let's go back into...
All right, let's get back into the Vatican prophecy readings. So we finished off with that one, starting there on other classical ones.
Okay.
You wanted to go, or you got me?
Why don't you go?
Okay.
I'll put this away.
Other classical prophecies. It is worth mentioning other visions from saints who also foretold turbulent times for the church. For instance, Pope Saint Pius X. Saint Pius the 10th reportedly had a vision in 1909 of a future pope who would flee Rome amidst the corpses of his priests and be martyred. A prophecy often linked to the visions of Fatima and the prophecies of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. Several blessed figures of the 20th century, such as Blessed Elena Ayo and Blessed Cardinal John Henry Newman, spoke of the church undergoing purification through persecution and the eventual rebirth of faith after a period of great turmoil. A common thread running through these traditional prophecies is the belief that the church will undergo a severe trial, whether through external persecution or internal apostasy, but will ultimately be preserved and renewed by divine providence.
Modern visions and controversial mystical prophecies. The new flavor here, we had a variety pack, is orange pomegranate.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for this one.
That sounds amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to drink that right in your guys' microphone.
Taste it with us.
Modern visions and controversial mystical prophecies. In addition to church-approved apparitions, many private revelations and prophecies have emerged in recent decades, gaining traction among the faithful despite lacking official approval. Interesting. And in some cases, facing explicit condemnation. These often speak of impending apocalyptic events, warnings for the church and the world, and even specific predictions concerning the role of future popes during the end times. Mm. Mary Divine Mercy, MDM. One of the most controversial contemporary visionaries is known as Mary Divine Mercy, MDN. An Irish woman who began publishing alleged messages from Jesus and Mary online in 2010. The Warning, the Book of Truth. Her prophecies caused a massive uproar because they directly concerned the papacy, according to MDM. Pope Benedict XVI was the last true pope, while his successor, Francis, would be the false prophet of the apocalypse, paving the way for the Antichrist. These claims, in direct contradiction with Catholic doctrine regarding the papacy, were swiftly condemned by bishops worldwide. The messages were labeled as gravely erroneous and destructive to faith. Bishop Mark Coleridge of Australia noted that the messages contained theological errors, false millenarian prophecies, like
Millenarian,
like of the millennium, maybe millenarian. That's weird. Millenarian, and fear-mongering masquerading as divine revelations, especially denouncing the scandalous accusations against Pope Francis as unacceptable. The church officially distanced itself from MDM, and numerous bishops in Ireland, the U.S., Poland, and the Philippines banned the distribution of her materials. Despite this, a segment of the faithful formed an underground movement convinced of an imminent warning, a global illumination of consciences, and believing that the current pope is leading the church astray.
Okay. That's interesting.
The case of MDM highlights the dangers of unapproved private revelations that can create real divisions within the church, especially when they undermine the Pope's legitimacy. Such views are considered schismatic and based solely on private belief and unverifiable messages from heaven. According to MDM's apocalyptic scenario, the papal throne is occupied by an impostor. The true church must go underground. A great warning will soon occur. Only those loyal to the, quote, true pope, spiritually remaining Benedict, will survive divine chastisements. The Catholic Church firmly rejects this narrative, trusting the Holy Spirit's protection against such deception.
The apparitions of Garabandal, 1961 to 1965. Garabandal. Another major modern case is the alleged apparitions in Garabandal, Spain, where 4 young girls reported a series of Marian visions between 1961 and 1965. Though never officially approved by the church, the Garabandal messages are rich in apocalyptic themes. They foretold a coming great warning, a global illumination of consciences, a great miracle, and a possible chastisement if humanity does not repent. A cryptic statement attributed to the Virgin Mary caused much discussion. Quote, after Pope John the 23rd, there will be only 3 more popes, and then it will be the end of the times. From John 23, who died in 1963, the next 3 popes would have been Paul VI and John Paul I. And John Paul II, after John Paul II, some noted a significant shift in global history, the fall of communism and globalization. However, the end times was understood not as the end of the world, but rather the beginning of a period leading up to major divine interventions, quote, or in quotations, the warning, and etc. The confusion deepened because after John Paul II, 2 more popes reigned, Benedict the 16th and Francis. Garabandal supporters explained that one pope, John Paul I, whose reign lasted only 33 days, might not have been counted by Mary. Thus, John Paul II would be considered the last of the 3. And the following pontificates belong to the end times era. According to this interpretation, we are now on the threshold of fulfilling Garabandal's promise. The great warning would occur during the reign of Francis or his immediate successor, followed by a great miracle. And at a time of severe trials for the church, excuse me, although Garabandal has not been formally approved or definitively condemned, many faithful continue to monitor its prophecies. The tone remains apocalyptic, but notably not anti-papal. The girls were all always fervent in their prayers for the Pope. Visionary Conchita has even stated that after the warning, the Pope may no longer be able to reside only or openly in Rome, interpreted by some as a sign of turmoil or persecution within the Vatican. Overall, Garabandal breathes hope. Mary promises a great miracle to convert the world and protect the church from total annihilation.
Interesting. All right, let's do one more of these. We're almost at 2 hours
we'll
here.
Wrap up.
All right. The apparitions at Medjugorje.
Oh, you've been getting the good ones.
Yeah, Medjugorje.
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 Medjugorje. We got it. We nailed it. I'm pretty sure one of those is right.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be one of them. Since 1981, the ongoing Marian apparitions in Medjugorje, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which began in 1981, also touch on the future of the church. 6 visionaries have received 10 secrets, the contents of which have not yet been publicly disclosed, but are said to include warnings, divine signs, and chastisements for the world. At least some of these secrets reportedly concern divine punishments for humanity's sins and the appearance of a visible sign for the whole world. Although details remain unknown, the visionaries insist that the church and the world will undergo serious events, leading to a time of peace and the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, echoing the promises of Fatima.
Immaculate Constellation.
Which, by the way, was another one of the things that came out this week.
I know, yeah, you mentioned that.
This is a crazy tangent, but yeah, that was...
And synchronicity.
Yeah, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp released an interview with the guy behind the Immaculate Constellation.
Have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, we should watch that.
So that might be next week.
Yeah. That's going to be fascinating.
Anyway, back to the church, which totally has nothing to do with UFOs, guys.
Nothing. Everything.
Importantly, the Medjugorje messages do not directly reference papal succession or the fall of the Vatican. Instead, Mary has repeatedly emphasized the need for prayer for the Holy Father, bishops, and priests, along with fidelity and obedience to the church. Thus, even while speaking of times of tribulation, the Medjugorje messages strongly support unity with the Pope and Church's hierarchy. The Vatican has not given a final judgment on the authenticity of the Medjugorje apparitions. However, due to the massive influx of pilgrims and widespread reports of conversions and vocations, the church permits public devotion connected to the site, pending further evaluation. Regarding the church's future, Medjugorje's prophecies suggest a nearing time of purification and decisive divine interventions. Following these, the church is expected to enter a new era of peace. But as of now, until the secrets are revealed by the designated priest 3 days before each event, the full scope remains a matter of speculation.
This sounds so much like Disclosure.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
It sounds so much like Disclosure.
Yeah.
Like they're just holding on to this deep secret that they've been holding on to for so long, and this will be what brings about their having to go underground for some time. And this idea of like the Antichrist, because like, not that I think that the church is so separated from science, but I think that like science and technology of the new modern era takes on its own religion for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And so the bringing of those things to the forefront will need to suppress a lot of other things in order to be like Like, like widespread.
But
accepted.
I think we're at the point in history where like
you can have like a inflection
spirituality
point.
went one way and science went another way, and I think we're at the point in history where they're coming back together.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's like
I agree, but I think it's going to
create... But like they're still pretty far apart.
Right, but then that assumes that that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
So that having to go underground for that next cycle is something that is likely to happen. Like if you just imagine a world where we're technologically advanced and we're using AI, we have robots and like things are happening at such a pace, and then think of 300 years from then. What happens? How do things unfold? Do we go back to something happened? Is there an EMP or a solar flare that knocks out all of this technology that sends us back into a spiral or Stone Age, where then the sparks of this previous epoch and era come back again?
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting because like it really depends on how you interpret these prophecies, right? Did they just have to do with the church, or did they have to do with the world?
Right.
Because if you interpret them as having to do with the church, they're different in scope.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Then these are events that are happening within the church and having to do with, Anyway, I don't know the answer to that. But we're only halfway through this. We're just getting on to page 10 here. So we'll maybe revisit this or maybe read the rest of it and talk about.
I mean, it's a lot of these different, the same kind of.
But it's a lot of prophecies of apocalyptic times. And so basically, a lot of these seemed, as Greg was talking about, a lot of these kind of seem to be pointing. Who was this Pope that just died? I don't even know who he was. This is how little I know.
Pope Francis.
It was Pope Francis?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That just died?
Mm-hmm.
Pope dead. Pope. Dead Pope.
Yeah, Pope Francis.
Okay. So Francis is the one that they're naming in a lot of these. So according to a lot of these, we're like solidly in the end times.
Right.
Interesting.
I typed in next Pope, and the first thing was somebody created an image of Donald Trump sitting.
No, dude. Did you see this whole freaking meme that's been happening?
Yeah. I did see some of that.
It's so funny. He said he would like to be the Pope. He actually posted from his own account an AI image of him being Pope. He posted this to his own Twitter, which I don't have up right now, but that's hilarious. Let me see. It's
number
so
one.
Stupid.
I'm the number one Pope. Oh, man. Well, this will really send people in a spiral.
Dude, imagine
Did he actually?
Donald Trump becomes the next Pope.
He has all his posts. See more. Show more.
There.
Down below. Show more.
That's who to follow.
Oh.
Where the heck are all of his posts?
Did our internet go out? Yeah, what the heck? It looks like someone
made
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard someone claiming
I've seen people claiming
actually posted it.
Yeah, no, I've seen people claiming that, but I never. And if this is his actual account, then
maybe it's on the White House account.
Far back.
That would be crazy.
That would be great. No, but they said it was the real Donald Trump.
Yeah. Maybe it was on his Truth Social. I don't know.
Or I think they said it was on Telegram or something. Did they?
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
I thought I saw something about him.
But yeah, this freaking image is hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, Joe.
It's been super fun this week, and let's.
Hope you all liked the new video podcast. You guys can get a glimpse of us. Say hi to the camera again. Yeah. You guys can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's where we're going to post. We're going to start doing a lot more social media clips, so stay tuned for that. You guys can follow us on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you guys get your your podcasts.
Soul food,
If you guys
let's
want
go.
the full video, now that we're doing video podcasts, go to YouTube or Rumble. Go to our website, dualitycheck.net. You guys can find all of our links, everything going on there. And yeah, we'll link all of anything that we link throughout the episode will be found within the episode. You can find that on our website. So yeah, appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And if you guys want to get involved in the conversation, you guys can like, subscribe, comment on any of our platforms. At the Apple Podcast, you can leave a review. And yeah, it'd be very helpful. We want to get our name out there and get some episodes, get some people watching our stuff. And yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. And enjoy.
Take it easy.
Adios.
Loveless.
That's a good one, dude. I'm excited.
I'm excited to keep growing with this and seeing what we can do with it.
Yeah.
It would be nice to.
This is the greatest story ever told of metronome. They're undermining me cause I'm lesser known. But make the same mistake again and get your face, you just a stepping stone. You better get to know, stay alone, play it nice. The bandwagon's getting filled by the end of the night. Earn my stripes and put in work so I reserve my rights. Word of advice, learn to write if you got the urge to fight. Yeah, I'm sorta nice, borderline over friendly. But on the mic it's day and night, you better keep your 10 feet. I'm on the rise and all these times try to tempt me. But I don't have the time nor a dime, my pocket's empty.
But I ain't got the time and I ain't got the bread to have myself a dime. I wrote this book instead. A little bit of tender Otis never helped me out. The oldest story in the book, now let me hear you shout. I'm loveless. I'm loveless. I'm loveless. I'm loveless.
I'm heartless and I'm loveless in my heart. But it's not that I don't love, it's just hard for me to start. Cause I'm married to the game with a ring. I'm committed, I just can't let you in and pretend that I'm with it. See, I long for affection, but I'm scared of the commitment. I know it's kinda wrong, it's the life that I live in. And it's music over money and my dreams over everything. When I reach my limits, I'll come back to you with wedding rings. Wrestling with words till they hurt, till they're tapping out. Freshest nerd that you've ever heard, till I'm down and out. Best of both worlds. From the belly of the beast just to knock him out. Work on my dreams just to make my dream work. Search the world for my queen just to find my dream girl. Everything in between is my team and dream first. Shout out to my crew, LTC and feet first.
But I ain't got the time and I ain't got the bread to have myself a dime. I wrote this book instead. A little bit of tender Otis never helped me out. The oldest story in the book, now let me hear you shout. I'm loveless. I'm loveless. I'm loveless. I'm loveless.